What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am Dalton Hopkins with Frontstretch.com, and we are here in turn one of Darlington Raceway, where a lot of action occurred today, and we'll get that in a moment. But I am flanked to my right by Trenton Worsham. We just got done, well, I guess we got done about 2 hours ago, let's be honest, with the NASCAR Xfinity Series race, which saw a familiar winner in the Xfinity Series, but we haven't seen him in a while. Brandon Jones gets a win with Gibbs, Joe Gibbs Racing, and gets that win that he hasn't been that's eluded him for a couple of years now. So gets a second win at Darlington Raceway in his career. But then a little bit further back, we had some other stories that went on. Of course, you talked to a lot of them. Talk about your sidebar that's released now on Frontstretch.com with Harrison Burton. Talk about that. What happened with him?
A lot of good things happened with Harrison. He had a pretty dang near perfect points day with the first two stages. He won the first stage, got a top 5 in the second stage. He told me the first stage was, he used the word gimmick, but it was more of a strategy type of thing to get the stage win, but they had to pay for it later in stage 3 with the tires staying out. And then stage 2, he said he felt a little tight, but it was just pure speed. He wasn't, as he described again, a gimmick like stage 1 was. And so he was very happy about that. He credited his crew chief for the patience he had when he was begging him to come in and get tires.
We're laughing right now because there is a fireworks show. I guarantee. I don't know how good this mic is. Okay, I think it's over. No, it's still going on. Okay, we'll power through it. I'm pretty sure y'all can hear us because this mic is so great. But so yeah, Harrison Burton, a stage 1 win, actually his second stage win of the year in 2025 with AM Racing. And then where did he end up?
He finished 13th. He said he came from I believe 20th to finish 13th in stage 3. Again, he is crediting his crew chief because he wanted to put tires on the car and everything. But like I said, the stage 1 sacrifice led to that. But he still got a respectable finish with that in a car that had multiple drivers last year. Part-time driver, Joey Logano drove it, and the only 2 top 10s they had last year was with Joey Logano. So this is a team that people kind of scratch their head at with Harrison Burton joining after winning in the Cup Series last year, getting demoted, and then joining AM Racing, who Haley Deegan drove that car the season before that. So Harrison Burton's doing a great thing, showing off his talent with that team. So it was a great day for Harrison. He gained 5 spots in the point standings and sits today and sits 10th. So it's a great day for Harrison. And he threw it back to his father. He said that's his hero. He loves learning about the cars, from his dad. When he runs the scheme, they're always his favorites, and he's going to appreciate this car while it's still wrapped up in that paint scheme before going back to his normal one next week.
Yeah, how soon people forget that this was a guy that was competing for an Xfinity Series championship just a few years ago with Joe Gibbs Racing, but now he's back with AM Racing, doing great things like you said, and a great finish. I mean, 13th is not fantastic, but still a wonderful point stay for him. But who also had some good point stays, but still some hurt feelings along with it. With some Cup Series racers in this field, we had guys like Ross Chastain, Chase Elliott. You talked to a lot of those guys. There was some ruffled feathers there.
Yeah. Well, Chase, in Chase Elliott fashion, he didn't have much to say. I asked him if it's water under the bridge for tomorrow, and he said, yeah, he's already over it. So he didn't say much about that. He talked about his day a little bit, the car, and then a little bit if the cars are so different, but I still asked him if he learned anything for tomorrow. He said not too much. So typical Chase Elliott, you're not going to get a lot out of him, but he did talk a decent amount about his day. Now Ross Chastain, on the other hand, who's the one who kind of perpetrated, making Elliott a little mad, and then someone you talked to, Christopher Bell, even more mad. He took the blame for the Bell incident, getting tied and running him up into the wall. And I asked him if he's going to talk to him and apologize, say he's sorry or whatever. And he said, yeah, I'm going to see him tomorrow. We see each other all the time. We race against each other, but I'm not going to go up to him and say I'm sorry. He's like, when I'm on the other side, the last thing I want someone to do to me is come up and say I'm sorry. So Ross, he owned it. He owned what he did. He said what happened. And he's, I guess they're going to talk, but he's not just going to go, hey, man, I'm sorry. To him, that's not the right thing to do in that situation, funny enough, because the other guy, from his perspective, the other guy doesn't want to hear it. So I don't think Christopher would have wanted to hear him say, hey, I'm sorry, right there. So
Love him or hate him, Ross Chastain makes things interesting. And you did mention, and Christopher Bell involved in that. All those videos, we talked to all 3 of them, Chastain, Elliott, and Christopher Bell. They're all on our YouTube page right now with frontstretch.com. And then afterward, I got to speak to a very, very heated Anthony Alfredo and Leland Honeyman Jr., who are both involved in a crash with less than 20 laps to go. The fireworks show is finally over, so people applauding around here at Darlington Raceway. But talked to them, both of them. They were very heated, especially Anthony Alfredo. You can check out those videos and a sidebar article that was just released on Frontstretch.com. Go check that out when you get the chance. Anthony Alfredo saying the quote that I love the most out of everything was, "There's zero qualifications for this series anymore," which very much fits the narrative that we've seen in the last week or so after what happened at Martinsville Raceway.
A little, I just want to say a little preview to a sidebar I'm working on is Where Did We Go Wrong, which talks about the current state of that. And funny enough, we saw a few Cup guys racing in the top 5 today. We saw that in the mid-2000s, the bushwhacking thing. But funny enough, a little sneak peek to that sidebar, a lot of Cup drivers are saying there's not enough of them racing to teach these younger guys. So we saw that today. We saw the Cup guys, and then Alfredo said there's no qualifications for this. So there's going to be more to it in that sidebar, but it's all tying together this weekend with the issues with the series and stuff, from Alfredo to the Cup guys racing in the series today. So, yeah, just a little sneak peek on that sidebar for everybody.
I'm really curious because tomorrow they have what's called the NASCAR Drivers Alumni Bullpen tomorrow, so we'll be getting some drivers some recognizable names of yesterday from NASCAR racing. Darlington Throwback weekend, they do that a lot. They do that every year, so... But without further ado, actually, you know what? Well, I'm going to add one more topic here. What was your favorite throwback of the day for the Xfinity Series?
Oh my gosh, that's pretty tough. We talked about a lot of them last night. I love the I can't remember every driver who had them. I just remember the schemes, but I love the 28 Ricky Rudd throwback. That one was great. The Brennan Poole, Jeff Gordon throwback. The Jeff Burton 99 Exide scheme looked pretty good. The Sammy Smith 3 Doors Down throwback looks pretty cool. I wish 3 Doors Down could have gotten involved and redone that scheme and stuff. So there's a lot of good ones. I personally think the Xfinity Series does it better, and we heard some Cup guys say today it's because a lot of these guys don't have a lot of sponsorship, so it's easier from them with the designs and wiggle room. But I personally think the numbers are still in the middle, so they can still look as close to the older cars as possible. But I think tomorrow, I think for the Cup side, I think Cindric and Larson definitely win with the Dale and Terry Labonte schemes for sure. So
some solid ones in store tomorrow, but some amazing ones today. I have to agree. And just like you said, we heard Alex Bowman in that video that was also released on Frontstretch.com talk about how, yeah, it is because they have those smaller sponsors, so they're able to manipulate those designs a little bit more. I personally believe that Parker Retzlaff really was fantastic. That number 4, the Ernie Irvin, the Kodak Ernie Irvin car. Also, Brennan Pools is amazing and won Best in Show with that really funny cartoon. I interviewed him afterwards as well.
Marlin Coors Light throwback was great.
Anthony Alfredo's,
The Xfinity Series just has a lot of great ones. They're all over the internet. They're on NASCAR's website. They're photos. They're everywhere. People can go find them, but the Xfinity Series does it right for throwback. So
great stuff. A lot of passion there, and then we're going to see a lot of it tomorrow as well. And speaking of tomorrow, it is time for that pick. So after qualifying today, we saw William Byron get the pole, and he was one of the few Hendrick cars that actually go. The rest of them didn't do so well. So with all that in mind, who is your pick for tomorrow's race?
Man, I gotta go with the former winner of the Southern 500. He qualified well. I got to go with last week's dinner. I think Denny Hamlin. He manages those tires. Last week they had the little bit of a softer tire. He managed it pretty well. This track, great tires. It's an old school track still. No matter the car, this track, Darlington, is still Darlington with the tires, which is great for the fans and the drivers. So it's going to be a driver's race, I think. And I think Denny Hamlin in that Carl Edwards throwback is going to manage this tire as well and get the win for 2 weeks in a row.
You said management of tires, and we saw a race last year that absolutely shredded tires in the Bristol race in the spring, and who won that race? It was Denny Hamlin. Yeah. So I think that's a fantastic pick personally. I'm gonna go with somebody a little bit more up front, but I'm gonna go with William Byron, and it's only because he's got the best average finish of anybody else in the next gen at Darlington Raceway, and not to mention. He's also on the pole tomorrow, so he's got some speed where it seems like the other Hendrick Motorsports cars do not. But honestly, tomorrow I can't wait because Darlington is always such a treat. Mm-hmm. I'm really excited to see what happens. You know who else I'm keeping an eye on? I'm keeping an eye on Carson Hocevar. He fast.
Spire's been pretty fast lately. Yeah. Like he's qualified well. He's ran well. He's just gotten caught up in people's mistakes or his own, but. Carson Hocevar is either Spire has stepped up their equipment, which they have to a degree, but I think a lot of it is also Carson Hocevar is actually that good as well. Like we saw what he was doing when he subbed in for some Cup drivers, before his rookie season, and he ran respectively well, So I think he's going to be a guy he almost won. He almost won Atlanta this year.
yeah.
So I think if any guy is going to be a surprise winner this year, it's going to be him. I think Carson Hocevar gets a win at some point this year and makes the playoffs because he's been running too good in a long season. I think he's going to put it together, and maybe by the summer, early fall, he could have a win under his belt somewhere. I don't know where, but somewhere.
I think he was, if I'm not mistaken, he was one of the faster ones in practice. So maybe that first one could come tomorrow. Well, that's going to be it for tonight. We got to go back to our hotel and get some rest. But we got another long day tomorrow. But thanks for joining us. Appreciate you watching. Stay tuned for all of our coverage from Throwback Weekend. We'll see if we get some throwback outfits. We'll see what happens there. We'll talk about that. Yeah, there's vendors around here. We can check that out. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching our coverage, and make sure to stay tuned for tomorrow for the Goodyear 400 and for the rest of Throwback Weekend here at Darlington Raceway.
This is Custom Patch Hats. But what makes us custom? Well, that actually begins with you. We're just bringing your unique vision to life. No knockoffs, no lookalikes. Your design is one of a kind. We know hats, we know design, and we know quality. The proof? It's in our production. Hand-stitched with precision and care, with brands you know and trust. A one-of-a-kind patch deserves a one-of-a-kind treatment, all the way to your doorstep. It's how we keep it custom.
Jared Haas with Frontstretch.com. Come back soon for more great racing videos. And if you like us, make sure to hit that subscribe button.